Lou, welcome back to the
Hello.
podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me again.
You're the first person to be here twice.
My goodness, I'm honoured.
So
I really
yeah,
am. Yeah. No, I was really chuffed when you asked me to come back on because what we were saying just now, it's been over 2 years since the last time I had a chat with you, and a lot's happened since then.
yeah.
A lot more. So I'm happy to have a chat about that. So
Well, last time you were here, you're a world champion powerlifting grandma.
I still am. I'm now a 2 times world powerlifting champion grandma.
So tell me about what's been happening.
Yeah, so that was 2022 when I saw you last time. So then 2023, towards the end of that year, about end of August, beginning of September, I actually got a new coach. James, inner athlete, was brilliant. He started me off on his journey. Always forever grateful to him for that because he got me interested in it and realised that I wasn't too bad at it and encouraged me to pursue it competitively. He had to be in the first competition, so we sort of went from there. But we reached a point where I wanted to do more, but I'd sort of reached a point with him, almost a saturation point. I don't quite think maybe not that's quite the right word, but I'd got to a point where I didn't seem to be able to progress anymore with him. And I think James is a great coach. He's a strength and conditioning coach, but I think I needed a more specific coach. So I actually sort of asked around on the circuit, and a couple of people mentioned this guy to me, Chris Brown, who I'm with now. And he's actually a powerlifting coach, and he competes himself in the same federation that I do, and also another one as well. But so he knows powerlifting inside and out. Whereas James, obviously, he's got a gym. He's got his gym to run. He's a busy man. He's got other clients and so on and so on. I mean, Chris has got other clients, but we're all powerlifting clients for him. So he just looks after us. And I train with him once a week down in Salisbury now, and then do 2 sessions still at Inner Athlete because that's my home still. And still, I love going there because they're all so nice there and they're lovely. But yeah, so that was the end of 2023, and then last year. 2024, gosh, it's gone so fast, hasn't it, the years? I had my best year yet, I would say. I competed 4 times. The maximum usually they say is to do 3. If you're a little bit of an older lifter, it's probably 3 is enough for your old body. But they introduced something last year called the Super Masters, which, as the name implies, was for any lifter over the age of 40. And it's the first time they've done this federation in particular that I live with, the British Powerlifting Union. She had wanted to do it apparently for years, and it had been an idea. And then she sort of asked a few of us what we thought. We all went, yeah, brilliant, let's do it. It's amazing. Because also in the 2-3 years since I started, the amount of older lifters coming into the sport has been phenomenal. When I did that Worlds in 2022, all the British team, I think there was about 70 of us, 71, something like that. When we went to Ireland in September 2024, which is when I won my second world medal, there was 151 of us on the team. Obviously from teenagers right the way up to masters lifters, but a lot of those are some older people as well. So I'm really pleased that older people are all the messages that are all getting out there. I think is that there's a lot of it in the news, isn't there, and stuff about how good it is to lift when you get older, or keep lifting as you get older. Don't stop, because your muscle mass starts to decrease from the age of 30 onwards. It's depressing, isn't it? But yeah, and it's just such fun. I love it. I've even been brave enough to get a tattoo.
Have you really?
with a barbell on it,
Oh, wow.
which I've never had one in my life. And I just thought, do you know what? What do I love enough in the world? Not my husband or my son. That's the joke. I've got a barbell because I found a love of powerlifting later in life. But it's great. It's just, I can't believe how fast it's gone, really. It honestly doesn't feel like it's over 2 years since I was last sitting here talking to you, and that was my first year of competing in competitions. It just is. I don't know if that's getting older, maybe, because every year is going faster and faster, but It's been amazing. I've loved every second, and I want to continue. It was my birthday on Wednesday this week, and I turned 59, which means this is my last year of something called Masters 4. So in the federation I lift in, they go up in 4-year increments. So Masters 4 is 55 to 59, and then Masters 5 is 60 to 64, and so on and so on. So this is my last year as a Masters 4 lifter. So I want this year to be, I want to go out with a bang of Masters 4 and enter Masters 5 with a bigger bang. Because I want to carry on doing it as long as I can, basically. Because I just love it. I love it so much. And the people are great. And the atmosphere is always brilliant. They're all lovely.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that you love it, because
amazing.
When you have such a natural enthusiasm, it's such an amazing thing to be around someone who loves something.
Yeah.
Because you just know that energy is just like.
I always worry that I'm banging on about it too much to people, because it's great when you're within your powerlifting gangs, so to speak, because we can all bang on about, what wraps do you use, and what knee sleeves have you got, and what barbells do you lift, and it's all the geeky stuff and the nerdy stuff. And then other people who are not quite so into it, they'll ask about it to be it's a bit like when you talk about your children, isn't it? They'll say, how's your, and then you'll bang on about them for about 5 minutes, and then you see the other person slightly glazing over. It's the same thing in a way, because I'll bang on about powerlifting till the cows come home. But so it's really great that the group, the federation that I'm in, and the other gym that I train at, that's more of a powerlifting gym, to be fair. I mean, Inner Athlete is set up, actually Inner Athlete have got a remarkable amount of kit, actually, and it's great. They are brilliant. But obviously the other one I go to with my coach once a week is actually a powerlifting gym, and they run competitions and things there. So they've got all the kit and all the special racks and things and everything. So that is good as well. And of course, everybody down there is all into it. So I tend to geek out a bit. I look forward to my Thursday mornings driving down to Salisbury to train, because I know I'm going to be with some like-minded people.
Yeah. So you've made a change, and now you're working with Chris Brown.
Yes.
And really from what you were explaining there, it was around kind of more of a deeper knowledge. I feel like that was the probably the biggest thing.
Definitely, yeah.
So how has your training changed? Because you've also said you've gone in to have one of the best years you've ever had as well. So maybe that was part of it.
I do think. The training's definitely changed, because I think I do a lot more powerlifting specific training. So I do 3 sessions a week of actual powerlifting training sessions, and they will always have the main compound lifts in them. So I'll either have a squat and a bench day, a deadlift and a bench day. I do a lot of bench. He seems to want me to. I have increased my bench incredibly, I have to say. In fact, I got the world record for bench in July at British Nationals, and at the moment nobody else has taken it from me, so I'm trying to keep that.
Wow.
So I did 67.5 kilos at 62 body weight, so which I think for a female is quite good, and also being an older lifter is not bad. But again, it's this confidence thing, because I never would have done it. I don't think I was always never confident enough to train myself for a start, because when I was with James, I used to have 3 1-to-1 sessions a week with James, because I don't think I was confident enough to make the weight selections myself, because I felt I didn't have the knowledge or the experience yet of what I needed to do to progress myself, if that makes sense. So with Chris, he uses an app, like a training app, which I never thought in a million years I'd be using one of those, because I am the most untechnical person. I can just about use a smartphone. I'm probably selling myself a little bit short, because I can use a computer, but technology is not my first. It doesn't come naturally to me, probably because of my generation, because I didn't grow up with computers. I've just had to learn everything. So he uses a training app called RTS, which I think is an American one, but it's great because it gives you your exercises for each session broken down into the sets and the reps it gives you a guideline for what it wants you to reach based on it's got like an algorithm. So if you put in your training from the previous week, and the RPE, the rate of perceived exertion, that's been the hardest learning curve. It's taken me over a year, I would say, to learn that, because RPE is not based on how it feels. And of course, if you're having a bit of a tired day and you're a bit achy and you're feeling a bit rubbish, 120 kilo squat is going to feel like 150 kilos on your back, and you're going to go, oh, it's an RPE 10. I couldn't do another one. But then when you watch the video back, which is why I video my lifts to send them to my coach, you look at it and you think, oh, actually, I stood up quite quickly with that. I probably could have done another one at least, or another two, which is then an RPE 8. So that's been, I found that fascinating, because I am a little bit of a nerdy geek, and I like to focus on technique and, whether something is right. And also, of course, powerlifting is a lot of it is about technique. And how you lift and the bar path and things like that, without going too much into specifics. But so I'm quite like that, because I think that's why I love it so much, because I actually like the nerdiness technique of it all. So when you've got this thing where you've got to rate your own RPE, you look at a lift and you go, oh, actually, that looked really easy. Now I look back at it. So I'll send him a video of my lift and go, oh, I did actually rate that as a 9, but actually it was more like a 7. And he'll just send back a laughing face going, yeah, I agree. So that's been great. But,
so for you to get a world record in bench, what have you learned? So because you said you geek out on the technical aspect of it.
Yes.
What is it that you've learned there to be able to achieve a world record?
So I do a lot of bench and a lot of bench variations. So obviously I have a competition bench, as you might, I don't know, when you unrack it and you start it, you come down and you have to wait for the press command. So when it's here, when it's at your chest, the bar has to be motionless, only for a split second, for them to say press. And if you've pressed it before they say press, you'll fail the lift.
So is it you're putting it down? It's like a almost like a pause.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? So you come down.
So it's and some refs will. Reffing should be the same for everybody, and by and large they are, but there are always some that will tell you to press quicker than some other ones. And of course, when you're doing it, it feels like forever. It feels like you're there for 10 seconds. But so one of the things we do is a pause bench. So obviously you'll come down and when I'm training, not at the comp obviously, but in training, I'll come down and I'll pause it for 3 seconds or 4 even, to make you then realise that you've got to pause it. So you've got your time under tension, of course, and everything else going on. So he gives me lots of variations of certain and the same with squat and things like that. You can do pause squat, you can do pause deadlift for all the same reasons. So it dials in the technique a bit more. Bench is actually quite technical, I think. So I think that's why we do more of it. And I think it's funny, because I didn't used to like doing bench, and it was always a bit of a standing joke. And now I say, oh, actually, I love bench now, which I actually can't believe I'm saying that, because it's the one thing that you get the smallest increases on, especially, again, as a woman. And also because you can only go up in 2.5 kilo jumps in competition at national level. So for a bench, when you're going up by 2, you can only go up 2.5 kilos. That's a big. So if you're talking about 60 kilo bench or whatever, but you've only gone up 2.5 kilos to the next one, that's a bigger percentage than if you've gone up 10 kilos on your squat, because you've done 130 kilos squat and then you've gone to 140 kilos. There's a big jump. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So in a way, the actual numbers on the bar almost are contradictory to the result you're getting. But I've learned it used to frustrate me that I couldn't get better at bench, because they were tiny little increments. I put like 0.5 kilo on or 0.5 kilo on. But actually, I've learned that that's actually a good thing, because even that is that percentage of the amount that you're lifting as a whole is bigger. So if you look at it that way, so that's how my mindset has changed as well towards training now, I think, is that I used to beat myself up a bit because I was thinking, oh, I didn't get that deadlift that I want. You go to the gym and you always have figures in your head, don't you? That especially when you're going for 1 rep maxes and things like that, you always want to get them, but some days you just don't. I mean, for instance, last week, I did a 65 kilo top bench press for one single. This week, I struggled to get 62.5. For whatever reason, maybe I hadn't slept enough, maybe I hadn't eaten enough that morning, just wasn't there. But I didn't actually bother me. You think, oh, I got 65 last week. Oh, well, never mind. I've still got 8 weeks until my competition. And at the end of the day, the only result you want is on the day of the competition. It doesn't matter what's gone on before it. You can have up days and down days and up days and down days, of which there are many. And everybody's the same, I think. Everybody has up and down days, don't they? And sometimes you have a great day and sometimes you don't. And I think that's what I've learned the most about doing this now, is that you're not going to win competitions every day, and you're not actually going to get the results every day that you want. But actually, that's the whole point. Otherwise, if you're just winning all the time and hitting PBs all the time, it sort of becomes not boring, but almost boring, because you're then, there will be a point where you can't actually get any further. So it's nice to have the dips, because you then get the peaks. And so, it all goes hand in hand, I think.
It's quite an interesting metaphor for life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would say so.
Just before this, I was chatting to one of the sales guys in my team, and he's going through a bit of a challenging period. But the year before, he did like 150% of his number. And it's just like, this is what it's like. It goes up, it goes down, and that's just, just life. It's a metaphor for life in many ways, and it's so interesting, because training, sometimes you're ahead and it's things you're like, oh, I'm really, things are really, you're lifting and you're able to lift heavy, and other days, I missed the gym today. I didn't go because I was just like, kind of at a low point. Just absolutely. Some of that's due to sleep or energy or nutrition.
And I don't do that very often. We were talking earlier a little bit about the winter and training in the winter. I do find it really hard.
It's so much harder. It's so cold.
I just hate it. I hate the cold. My old body doesn't work when it's cold anyway. I like to be warm. I do have SAD, as they call it, SAD, seasonal affective disorder, which is I think most of us get the winter blues, but seasonal affective disorder is actually a form of depression, and I think a lot of people have it and don't realise. Actually, I was actually properly diagnosed about 12 years ago, and it's basically the lack of light in this country, because you get up in the dark and you come home in the dark. It's the lack of the light, so it's all the serotonin levels in your brain just being. I basically want to hibernate. I am like a bear in the winter. I want to eat all the food, which I have been doing. I have got a little bit, which I shall sort that out soon. But actually, you need to eat to fuel your training, of course. So that was another thing. I eat more now than I ever used to. And I don't get quite so bent out of shape and hung up on it now like I used to. Because actually, I am sleeping better and feeling better, because I think I'm eating more carbs. It's all about the carbs. But this seasonal affective disorder, I've been given ways to cope with it. It's like anyone who has depression, I think. It is a form of depression. So I have a SAD lamp, which is one of these really bright lights that you use in the morning, which mimics the effect of sunlight on your brain. So you put it on as soon as you get up. And you don't have to sit and gaze into it, but it's sort of, I have it on the breakfast table. So while I'm making breakfast and just buzzing around, making myself a cup of tea, and it raises your serotonin levels in the morning when it's pitch black outside, and it makes it fools your body into thinking, oh yeah, it's sunrise. Because if you think about it, we're all cavemen, essentially, at the end of the day. Cavemen used to rise when it got light, hunt all day and hunt and gather, and then go to bed when it was dark. So in the winter, they'd have a little day of about 5 hours probably of daylight, and then in the summer they'd be making hay while the sun shines, so to speak. So it's and I think it might be the 21st century, but essentially as human beings, I don't think we've evolved beyond that, really. I think a lot of us function better in daylight hours, and especially in the summer. I'm a much better person in the summer, which brings me back to the training. I find it really hard. Motivation is motivation is always there, but actually motivation is something that ebbs and flows, of course. So you don't always have to have motivation to be, you don't have to be a motivated individual all the time at anything, not just training, but in life, I think, because I think if you are constantly, I think you're going to burn out, quite frankly. So it's about having the discipline and your end goal always in the back of your mind of what you're trying to achieve. And I think for me, because I normally have competitions booked, I mean, I've got all my competitions booked in now for the rest of the year. So I've got one in May, one in June, one in August in America. I'm finally getting to America this year to do the World Championships in America, which I couldn't get to last year. And then this Supermasters one, which is this one for over 40s lifters, which is in October. So I've got 4. I know when they are. So I know that I've got all those to work towards. But even a couple of weeks ago, when I think probably about the end of February, middle to the end of February, the SAD had sort of got me a little bit in its grip. And I'd got to that point where I just didn't want to go out the door. It was too cold. I didn't want to even get my head out of the duvet because it was all nice and cozy. I was like a bear in my den, and I just wanted to wrap up warm and just not go out. And normally I can motivate myself to go to the gym enough, or the discipline is there for me to go to the gym, because going to the gym will lift me out of that funk, so to speak. But it actually got to the point that week where I'd almost reached the bottom of the well. So I sort of climbed down the well, all the rungs, during December, January. December's all right because you've got Christmas, but it's January and February are the worst ones, I think. So I'd gone all the way down to the bottom of the well, and I'd actually got to the bottom at that week in particular. And I was looking up thinking, I don't think I can get up there again. And I actually did feel that bad. And I actually twice that week got all ready to go to the gym, and actually almost got as far as picking my keys up and going, do you know what? I don't think I can go today. And again, and we were saying earlier about, I think sometimes you have to be kind to yourself and accept that even though you want to strive and get these world records and world championships and everything, actually you also sometimes need to be kind to yourself and go, do you know what? I actually need to step off the wheel for a day or two, or even a week maybe. I think if you leave it too long, I think there's the danger of wallowing a little bit in the pity party, which is what I got to the end of that week and went, do you know what? And do you know what? My coach, I went to see him I messaged him when I missed my session and went, I'm really sorry I couldn't make it to the gym today. It just felt so low. And he went, oh, that's fine. He said, is everything okay? And he said, don't worry about it. Just put a line through that one and tomorrow's another day, sort of thing. Because he understands it as well. And then I saw him on I think it was the Thursday or the Friday of that week. And I turned up and it was a lovely sunny day. It was one of our lovely days of sun we'd had recently. And I walked in and I knew I was at my lowest ebb, because even the sunshine didn't make me happy that day. I drove all the way down the 303 with sunglasses on, bright sunlight, probably would have had the roof down on the car if I was brave enough, because it wasn't that hot. But it still didn't lift me. And I knew then I was at the bottom of the well at that point. And I walked in and he said, hello, Lou, how are you? All bright. And I went, okay. And he said, you all right? And I said, not feeling it today. And he said, you know what? He said, do you want to just go and have a coffee and have a chat? And I said, that's a lovely idea. But actually I think I need to do something. Because I'd since missed another session that week. I said, I think I need to do something. So he said, right. He said, I've got an idea. So we didn't do any of my program. We didn't do anything that I had in my program. We had some fun. So I did something called slingshot bench, which I don't know if you know is these elastic. It's like a bit of elastic with two holes in it at the end. It's almost like a elongated figure of 8. And you put your arms through the ends and you put it on your chest. And you bench press with it on, and it gives you, it's a bit like wearing knee wraps when you squat. So it gives you the extra spring and the extra, and I benched 85 kilos with this slingshot on, and it put the biggest smile on my face that day. And it just lifted me out just by doing something different and having a bit of fun. Because that's the thing with training. I love training and I always will do. But sometimes it's nice to just slightly go off piste and do something that's not on the program, and just have a bit of fun and do it. And after that literally that day, I started to feel better. Not just because of that, I think because I'd sort of reached that point and I felt like I was climbing up the rungs of the ladder. And now so that was probably 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I feel like I'm almost at the top again now. Because I think the clocks are going forward at the end of this month as well, which always helps.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think it's impacted because it's nice and sunny and everything outside?
It's lighter mornings,
so the whole point. Isn't it?
I get up about 6:15 most days, and it's light when I'm getting up in the morning now instead of being pitch black again.
Yeah.
So that's definitely helping. And coming home from work, I usually leave work about 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'm actually locking my office door up, and it's still light, so I'm not having to put all the lights on outside in the car park to see where I can put my key in my door. So yeah, definitely that. But that's I think the overriding thing I got from that is that sometimes you have to be kind to yourself as well as pushing yourself. It's good to push yourself, but equally you have to know when not to. I think
if you're in training's systemized to some point, you need to go in and do these sessions.
Yeah.
And when you're like, right, I'm really on. And also you also know sometimes when you're just not quite feeling it because of your energy levels or something. Yeah. And I think it is, it's good for you to kind of like interject and go, listen, this isn't right for me right now.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna walk instead, or I'm going to journal, or I'm going to do something else. I'm going to have some reflective time.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great coach is Chris for doing something completely different.
He's great,
which put a smile back on your face.
Yeah, he did.
That's the whole point.
Was so lovely.
That's the whole point of coaching, is to someone to lift you up.
Yeah. And even that weekend, so that I think that was a Thursday or a Friday, I think I saw him Friday that week. On the Sunday of that week, so even at the weekend, he messaged me and said, "How are you feeling now? How are you feeling?" And I said, "Oh, actually, I'm okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for asking." And his wife did as well, because his wife is part of the team as well. They're all lovely. So we've got like a Facebook chat group as well and amongst all the clients. So we'll just, but he does this thing every week. He calls it Thrive Thursday. So he says, Thrive Thursday, what's your wins and successes this week? And it doesn't necessarily have to be training related. Funnily enough, I put in, I won £25 on the premium bonds, does that count, or something like that? So we have a little bit of a joke and a laugh. Some people will go, I got a deadlift PB, or I got 3 reps at this, or I, after injury, I'm coming back and I've managed to do this and this, and we'll all support each other and go, that's great, good to hear, because they're all over the country, his clients. He's got them from up as far as Scotland and right down in Cornwall. Some of them are online clients only, and then others like me will see him once, twice a week, whatever. But we all, again, I think this is the importance of being part of a group of like-minded people as well. So having found my tribe, actually, because you have a group, you have friends that have interests, and you have lifelong. I mean, I've got friends that we've known each other since we were 4, and she doesn't get powerlifting and doesn't do it or anything like that, but she's equally as supportive. She's lovely. So every time I see her, in fact, I'm going for brunch with her on Sunday, which will be lovely. She'll always ask me how it's going. And again, I keep it fairly short because I don't want to bore her. But again, a true friend will ask you how things are going, which is great. But it's nice to have your tribe and your little group where you can bang on about, I've just tried out these. I'm looking for some new knee wraps at the moment, which again, most people will glaze over. And we've been trying them out. So yesterday's session was all about trying out new knee wraps.
But this is the interesting thing.
I nerded out on that as well. So,
but that's the detail you have to get into if you want to get really great at something,
100%,
isn't it?
Yeah. So I've gone with some old ones that somebody gave me when I first started lifting, and they've been all right, but they're not great. They've worn out and they're quite elastic and quite straight. You can have all different types. It's very, very geeky. There's all different types of knee wraps. There's really strong, really stiff ones that you can hardly move with, but they really hurt. And my problem is, I said to Chris when we were trying them out yesterday, I need some sort of good supportive ones, but equally they need to not absolutely kill you because if you're in pain to the extent that it affects my brain, I can't do the lift if I'm in that much pain. And again, he understood that. He said, no, that's fine. He says some people sort of will work with that. It depends on the individual. Some people like it almost, or they can just block it out. I said, no. I said, I've got quite a high pain threshold, but I can't use. There was one particular pair we used. And I went, oh, these just hurt. It's like somebody's slicing into my knees with a knife. I couldn't wear these. But the funniest thing is that you've literally got them on for like 30 seconds. And then you take them off as soon as you've done your lift. But it's so we think we found the pair. And again, this is the beauty of the community. So the one pair that I decided that I found that I liked are no longer being produced. They stopped making them about 5 years ago, apparently. So I've gone all over the internet searching for them. I found a company in Belarus. So I messaged them and said, do you ship to the UK? And they did say yes, actually. But then I thought, oh, I'm not sure about that. I might never see them. So I put a little post out just saying, has anyone got any of these wraps? They're called Lily Bridge wraps. Really, really like them, but can't get them. I don't suppose anybody's got any. They don't want anymore. I've had 3 people offer me sets of their old sets that they don't use anymore. And they're going to drop them off at the gym for me to try and see if I want them. So again, the power of the community is you just put something out there and they're all happy to help, which is lovely. Everybody sort of supports each other, which is nice. I think that's what I found so nice about it as a sport, is that everybody roots for you, whether you're lifting 50 kilos or 450 kilos. They all scream and shout for you because they want you to succeed, because they all know that it's a lot of powerlifting. Yes, you're competing against other people, but also you're competing against yourself, if that makes sense. So a lot of what you do is to obviously always increase your total score that you get. I've increased my first ever competition I did, my total score, because you get obviously scored on one squat. You do 3 squats, 3 bench and 3 deadlift. You get your score is the heaviest squat, the heaviest bench and the heaviest deadlift that you do under the correct technique, and that you've got 3 white lights or 2 white lights for at least. And then you get the lift from the referees, because you've got 3 referees. And those 3 scores added up are your score, basically. It's that simple. So at the end of the day, you're trying to get the best total kilos that you've lifted across those 3 lifts. My first ever competition, I did 290 kilos was my total. The last one I did in November last year, I did 337.5. So my goal for this year is to do 350. So I've put my goal up every time. So again, just a personal thing. I may get it, I may not, but it's nice to have something to strive for, isn't it? So in whatever you're doing, I think. So that's
how much of powerlifting do you find it's about the community or the actual action itself? Like, or is it a bit of all of that? Like, what is it that you find so attractive, and how much you've enjoyed it?
That's an interesting question, actually, and one to make me think. I think initially, I think it's changed actually as I've done it, to be honest. Initially, I did it, I realised I was quite good at it, which for me, I've never been particularly, I think we talked in my previous one I did with you. I was talking about how I felt mediocre all my life doing everything.
Yeah. That's what was the title, I think.
It was the mediocrity of everything I do. I've always been not bad at things, but I've never excelled at anything. I've never been good at anything particularly. I've always been not bad, and I've always had a go at stuff. I'm never afraid to have a go at something. But with that, as soon as I did powerlifting and thought, oh, actually, I'm not too bad at this, that was immediately my hook. And then as I've gone through the last 3 years of doing it in a competitive network of doing it, and joined the federation that I've joined, the powerlifting unit, and then obviously now got lots of friends on the circuit and friends through coaching and friends from the gym, that has all been the added bonus of it, I think. So my love for powerlifting was there from the beginning, but it's all been enhanced by the lovely community and the lovely support and the people that I've met along the way, definitely. Which again, I think is the same possibly for any sport, possibly. I mean, people who do CrossFit probably say the same thing, or I don't know, all sorts of things. So there's this, and strong man, I know, because Tatiana came on, and I still see Tatiana sometimes, and she's gone into another league. She's doing really well with her strongman. So, and I think the same. She would say the same. Is that you've got your love for the sport anyway, but actually the community and the support is all part of it. Because if you just go, and if you go and just be miserable and just keep yourself to yourself, I don't see the point of doing it. Because a lot of it for me, the reason I ever started going to a gym in the first place was my initial was to sort of get fit and healthy and lose weight in my 40s when I first set foot in a gym. And then all the other things have sort of just followed on, almost like a gradual process of honing down because there's no point doing exercise if you don't enjoy it, is there? I mean, I used to flog myself to death doing spinning classes where I did something to my knee, which wasn't great. And I mean, that was when I first started the gym, because I thought just doing I was that classic person who just thought doing endless amounts of cardio and yet still eating all the rubbish that I was eating was going to somehow miraculously make me lose 3 stone. Guess what? It doesn't. So definitely lifting weights, that helps you, definitely. I mean, I weigh back more again now than I sort of got down to when I was almost starving myself to be this, again, I had this, I've probably grown up with, again, I love the fact that the body positive thing is more out now, especially for women. I think is that, you don't, what's the hashtag, strong not skinny, that everybody puts on that. I'm guilty of it. I put it on mine as well, on Instagram posts. It's about being, you don't need to be a skinny little with a thigh gap that used to be in the 90s, the models that literally were eating tissue paper to survive. Makes me shudder when I think of some of the fad diets I've been on in the past. But again, it's that's sort of what's drilled into you, and there's a big shift, I think, now about women, not having to be skinny minis, as long as you can be healthy and slightly bigger, and it doesn't, as long as you're exercising and healthy, and lifting weights probably is the best thing. You don't have to look like a stick. I know naturally some people are, but slim, but it's just the way it is. You have to work with what you've got. I've never had. I was saying to someone the other day, I've always had quite big thighs, and I've always had quite big arms. And when I was younger, I used to go, "Oh, my arms, they look so big in that thing." Now, I'm actually really proud of my arms because actually they got me a world record bench press. So this is the thing. I think you have to work with what you've got, and also I think that's definitely an age thing. I think with age comes acceptance a lot more, doesn't it? Of what you've got, you can enhance it and you can work with it, but you can't necessarily change it in any great way unless you have surgery. And I think there's what's the word? Acceptance and inner peace almost, where I've almost got to that point where I've gone, do you know what? Actually, I'm happy with everything that I'm doing and the way I feel at the moment. I actually sleep better now because I think I eat more food. I used to sleep appallingly. But yeah, it's interesting.
The inner peace thing's very interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think, where is inner peace and self-acceptance, where do they come? How do they link together? So you feel like, because I definitely feel when you get over, there's something around the 40 mark, you start to accept yourself more.
Yes.
You accept what is. I
think for me it was 50 plus, actually. Okay. And definitely in the last, again, I will bang up about powerlifting, definitely since I've been powerlifting, that I was always almost, some people laugh when I say, oh, I've got more confidence. And they go, but you've always been confident. But a lot of it was a front. It was almost a fake confidence. So I was a bit fake it till you make it almost.
But you know inside if you're not quite, because you can
never really satisfied with how I looked and how I did things and what I'd achieved, and I was always doubting myself and always thinking, oh, I could have done that better. There will always be a little bit of that, because I think you wouldn't be a competitive athlete if you didn't and I think you need that actually a little bit. So you always need I could have done a bit better. Otherwise, you're going to get complacent, aren't you? So there's a little bit of a fine line, I think, as well on it. But yes, I think with the powerlifting, definitely, I have got a huge amount more confidence, self-confidence, self-belief, I think is the biggest thing. When I first started, and then I won that world championship. I think I said to you in the last podcast, I got to this world championships that I qualified for when I did, because you had to do British nationals and come in the top 3 to be able to qualify you to go to the worlds, which was in Manchester that year. And I remember turning up to this hotel with all these people here from all different countries, including ours, obviously, loads of people, and thinking, gosh, I can't believe I'm here. You know, all these people are like world level athletes, and I'm one of them, essentially. And I still couldn't quite believe it. And even the second year I competed, I still felt a little bit like that. And in fact, even now, I'll go in and I'll think, gosh, I'm here. I've made it. I just need to crack on and get the job done. But I was much more, 2024, I'm going to call almost my epiphany year, because I just felt like I belonged. Whereas the first 2 years I was doing it, I felt a little bit on the outer edges, looking in a little bit, because I didn't know that many people and people didn't really know me. But now lots of people know me and I know lots of people, and we're all sort of in contact on Instagram and through the Facebook pages of the British Powerlifting Union. And if you put out, I'm looking for a pair of these particular types of wrap, people will say, oh yeah, I really like those. Oh, I know somebody's got some, or, oh, I've got a pair you can have, and all little things. And it's just, it is, I just feel like I belong. I feel like I should be there now, because I feel like I've earned my place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to carry on as long as I can.
It's amazing, isn't it? When
Yeah.
you feel like you belong, and you feel self-acceptance, and you have self-esteem, you're part of a tribe.
Yeah.
The amount of, and you just used a beautiful word earlier, you just said, I'm happy.
Yeah, I do. There's nothing that makes me happier than being amongst. So next weekend there's a gym in Alton who run the qualifiers 2 or 3 a year normally, and one of my friends is doing it. So I'm just going to go along and just get my pom-poms out and support him. He lifts, his coach is my coach, so I shall go along anyway and support. But there'll probably be a load of people from the gym there as well. It'll be almost like a social, but we'll also be cheering on our teammates doing their lifting. And then the next day I've agreed to help with my coach has got 9 clients lifting at a qualifier in Warwick. So I'm setting off at 6:00 in the morning to drive up there for a couple of hours to go and help him out with his clients on that day. Again, partly as a social, but because I'll just be part of the and I think a lot of the powerlifting community is that you get back what you put in, basically. So a lot of people will go and be loaders and spotters on the platform. I don't feel confident enough to do that, I must admit. They don't keep asking me, but occasionally they'll go, oh, you could do that. And I go, oh, I don't know if I could, because I'd feel really pressured that in case I dropped a plate on somebody's foot or something. just I'm not sure I'm quite at that level yet. Maybe next year I'll be confident enough to do that. But that's almost like the next step and the next transition, is that I'll be able to help out in some way behind the scenes almost. So not just taking part in the competitions, but actually helping with either the organisation of them or I don't know, I'll sell tea or something. I don't mind. I'll do anything because it's just such a nice atmosphere. The whole day is a great atmosphere because everybody's just there for everybody else, which is great.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
This journey that you've been on.
Yeah.
It's been pretty incredible.
It's been amazing. Yeah. I think I remember saying the first time I saw you for the first one, something about it being a massive learning curve that first year. But it's continued. I mean, it's not such a massive and steep learning curve as the first year, being thrown straight in, doing 3 big competitions in a row. But I'm now at that lovely position where I can almost choose which ones I want to do. which is really nice. Because if you win the world champion, if you're a world champion from the previous year, for the whole of the following year, you don't have to do a qualifier, which is great. So it means that I don't have to do a local meet to reach a certain points level to qualify me for doing British nationals, which then you have to come top 3 to do worlds the following year. So I automatically qualify now for worlds in Idaho in the end of August this year. So because I won my class, so I'm the defending champion. So you go back. So basically slots 2 and 3. So because I'm already the defending champion, I've got slot 1. So I'm a given by default that I will go back unless I don't take my place. And then there's 2 and 3, which people are going to be fighting for at British. But I've made the decision this year to not do the British nationals, which I've done every year so far, but I've chosen not to do it because I don't have to.
Oh.
So I'm doing my first ever pro show in May. So it's something called Irish Pro. There's some other ones as well. There's Abs Pro and there's various other ones. Different federations run different ones. Now, to do a pro show, you have to reach a certain points level. So what they do is they convert your kilos lifted and your total from your last competition into, they use a coefficient. It's a bit like Wilks, if you've heard of that, or they use Glossbrenner, which is a points system based on your kilos lifted based on your age and your body weight. So you get a points rated against, so it's basically kilos lifted per pound of body weight almost, and age, with an age coefficient thrown in as well, obviously. So I managed, after 3 years of doing it, to finally reach the qualifying total. I beat it by 3 points. I had to have something like 320 Glossbrenner score to be able to apply to be invited to a pro show, and I got 323 with my 337.5 kilo total converted back to this score. So again, I'd always seen people doing it, and I was never confident enough and brave enough. I've always wanted to do one, but I didn't have the self-confidence to put myself forward for it. So I said to my coach, I think I've reached the qualifying score for Irish Pro this next year. This was in November after my last comp. I said, should I apply? Do you think I'll be good enough? You know, he went, yeah, of course you are. He said, just apply, do it. And then you send your application in, and then they invite you to lift. So I got my invite, and I'm lifting in May. And pro competitions have prize money. I am very realistic, even though I'm very confident and love what I do. I am very, very realistic in that I honestly don't think I will come anywhere near enough to the top people that are lifting. But do you know what? Just to be there, even if I only do that one and never do another one, I've done a European Championships, I've done a World Championships, I've done a British National Championships, at least one of each of those. I can now add a pro show to my little, even if I don't come anywhere and I just turn up. And again, that'll be a competition with myself that day. So there are certain goals in my mind that I want to reach on that particular day. And my coach is coming to that one, so that'll be great. And there's a whole load of us going from the gym in Salisbury that I go to, 349 Barbell. So there's a whole load of us doing it. And it'll be fun. It'll be streamed on YouTube, so I'll have to see if I can put the link out on Instagram.
Yeah. What when you go to the pros, what's different? Is it the people? Is it the weights? Is it what's
the level of definitely the level of lifting. I watched the last one that was I think it was the end of August last year. I watched it on YouTube. Because I knew people that were lifting in it last year. And it's just a phenomenal amount, a phenomenal level of it. I mean, there's people from all over the world coming and doing it. So it's an international competition. So and it just looked, they've got the fireworks at the back, and it just looks fun. And I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to go almost for the crack. I mean, I will be serious, obviously, once I'm there, but I just want to go because I think it will be another one of those life experiences that when you're old and grey and you go, oh, do you know what, I did that. I only did one, but I did that. Who knows, I might be able to do another one. But the thing is, again, going back to the self-confidence and self-belief thing, I didn't think I would ever put myself up for something like that. But it's definitely given me the confidence to go for something like that and
what do you
have
think?
A go.
What do you think's changed? Is it the evidence? Is it the experience you've had? What's changed in the confidence level?
Both of those, I think, definitely the experience, and just exposing yourself to the competition environment and the training environment and the people that you encounter. I mean, the people are quite, if you've never met them, they can actually look quite scary, some of them. You know, you've got these massive, huge blokes with big beards and tattoos everywhere. And
You've got tattoos everywhere
I've got one now. Yeah. And you sort of look at them and think, oh my God. But actually, do you know what? They're the gentlest, nicest people you could possibly meet. And they're so helpful and they'll come and help you. But they are like man mountains, some of these people. But they are just the nicest people because they just all want to help you. And it definitely does and there's all different shapes and sizes of people that do it. This is what I love about it. There's a girl called I've forgotten her name. Anyway, she's called Tiny Tank on Instagram, and she is tiny. I mean, she's about 21, I think, and she's about something like 48 kilos body weight, and she's lifting, I think she's deadlifting and about 120, 125 or something. I mean, that's not much less than I do. 65 kilos, or which I am at the moment, but she's incredible. And again, I know for her, I won't tell her story, but I know she had some issues, and powerlifting has almost not saved her, but has definitely been a big thing in her life as well, I think. So there's lots of people from different walks of life with different stories, the reasons they do it, the reasons they started. They've either started very young. There's some that are like 14 or 15, just starting out now. Wish I'd started. Well, actually, I don't wish I'd started then, funnily enough.
I don't think you'd still be doing it now if you
I
started.
don't think so. And no, I don't think I would have. I don't think it
life.
would have meant so much to me. I don't think I would have appreciated it so much.
No, I agree.
I think it's definitely one of those things that's enhanced my mature years. I think. It's been great, but yeah, all sorts of different people doing it, and I think that's the other thing. Even though I'm 59 in age, I don't feel it in my head, because I feel good and healthy, and I do ache. Obviously, I ache. I wouldn't be human, I don't think, if I didn't ache. Sometimes I ache most mornings, to be fair, but I think it's the mindset, because I train with a lot of them are younger, so maybe in their 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, and then I have got obviously masters lifters friends who are the same age as me. But I think being in amongst a whole age range of people keeps your mindset young as well, because I'll talk about music that I used to listen to, and they won't know what I'm talking about, and then they'll talk about music they're listening to now. Oh, who's that then? And then we'll look it up on Spotify. Oh yeah, I know that, but I just didn't know what they were called, And it's all that thing. It's that generation thing. I think it sort of brings you together almost. I mean, there's a lot to be said for. I think you can learn from the younger generation actually equally as you can from the older generation. I think you have a lot that crosses over, which is great, and I think that's part of it as well. Again, part of being the tribe, I think.
Well, good luck with everything coming up. It's been brilliant talking to you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Connecting again. So the next big thing, so if someone wants to keep up with your story and how things are progressing, where's the best way of being in contact?
Probably on Instagram, I think. Yeah. Which is very boring. I don't even have a very exciting handle or anything, because I just don't know how to do that. But I'm Louise Clark 935, because I'm obviously there was the 935th. That was just the one they gave me. So that's where I am, and I'm on Facebook as well under my name. So, but I tend to post things. I don't post all the time, but I just post up bits and pieces of training, and bits of family life. I've got the same page, so it all sort of comes in together. So it's all, yeah. So my next one will be probably just all about training for this Irish Pro, and then I've got Europeans on June the 13th in Poland. So I'm going to Poland this year for the first time. Last year I did Finland, European. That was good. I loved Finland. Poland this year, which I've not been to before. This is what I love about it, the travel I'm getting to do as well, which is great. And then Idaho and then Warwick, very glamorous Warwick for the Supermasters in this country in October. And that's another year gone. And then I'll be planning that. We've already got dates in for 2026 as well. So I'm already almost planning ahead for 2026.
Maybe
which is my first year as a Masters 5. So when I'm 60.
Yeah. So maybe the next time you'll come back, you'll say you're world champion ×3.
I hope so. That would be great. And in America as well. That would be great. Be really great.
Amazing. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you so much for having me.
It's a real pleasure. Great to hear your story. It's amazing just to hear the progression, and also a beautiful thing just to say you found yourself, found your tribe, you're happy. Like, I think it's such an inspirational thing, you know, as we're all getting older, to find things that you love and you really enjoy doing. And also, you know, some of those things are just, you know, 10, 15 years ago, you would not have expected that you're going to suddenly become a world champion powerlifting grandmother.
Definitely
what an
not.
Amazing thing. It's just such a unique, amazing story to find it.
Thank you. Yes, I've loved it. It's been great. Well, and long may it, and not loved it. I love it, and long may it continue.
Keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Thank you.
Come back again in a couple of years.
I will. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.